very, very nearly made the last four, just fell in the final game, and Phil obviously went on and was the eventual winner. But both of them have turned up this weekend and seem to be off to a flyer.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I mean, you would give Phil the edge in most departments, I think, over Liam, if you're being fair about things. But the big thing that Phil's never had that Liam's got in abundance is the break, isn't it? And shamefully, he's come up dry after the first one. But yeah, Liam's break is huge, and Phil's always struggled.
An immediate commentator's curse there from Chris.
Indeed.
I mean, it's true. I mean, on the last match that I commentated on, I had Lewis Roberts with me, who was the loser to Liam in the recent round, and he just said that every time he broke off, he cleared up. And he's got a scary break on him for someone that has to put so much movement into the pack as well.
Yeah.
You know, you can't buy that.
No, and on these tables, if you've had a couple of games to sort of get used to the conditions and you've got a big break and things are coming out, you know, as they are here, red balls are fine if you've got a good pattern, yellow balls are fine if you've got a good pattern. So, you know, there's no clusters, there's no breakout shots, there's no doubles to play. You know, patterns like this are what Phil's made his money off for the last 30 years.
Yeah, and I mean, Phil is obviously, I mean, as many would describe, one of the greats really of pool.
Yeah.
Maybe so far, I mean, some may debate he hasn't quite hit the heights on Ultimate, but he has won tournaments, and it's very hard to argue against someone like Phil to ever not be a favourite in one of these events.
Yeah, that's the thing about Phil. He's any event he goes into, he's generally amongst one of the favourites, and if you generally ask many people, you know, who's in your top 5 or top 10 of all time, his name will come up an awful lot. But despite the fact that he's won the World Championships, technically he's only won it once, I think. You know, he's got a couple of Ultimate Pool titles to his name, but you still can't help but think that he's underperformed so far.
Yeah, and it's very interesting looking at the particular part of their CVs, which are the Pro Series runs from this season for both players. And I mean, not many people would believe me, but so far this season, Phil, across all 9 Pro Series, the furthest he's been is that one quarter-final and then this appearance here. In that quarter-final that he played earlier on this year, he lost to Joe O'Connor, that eventually went on to the final and lost to Christophe Lambert.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to explain maybe why Phil hasn't had the deeper run, because it's never felt at any point this season, Chris, that he's played badly. You know, it would be very easy, you know, there are some players that you could argue that have gone a little bit quieter this season, but Phil hasn't been one of those players, but just for some reason just doesn't get the results in Blackpool.
I think for me there are 4 reasons which I'll let you dissect. I'll just tell them to you, okay? Number 1 is probably he hasn't got as big a fear factor as he's had down the years on the Ultimate Pool circuit. Number 2 is the conditions, especially out in the arena, are so good that if you want to call them lesser players than Phil, are going to clear up more often than they would.
You know, it takes a great to do that, and I think it's hard sometimes for people to recognise that if they're not winning, like a Cousins or a Dempsey, and winning every time out.
Yep.
But like, the other point I really agree with you is that this event and this arena has made things such a minefield, because the standard has got better over the last couple of years, but also this allows the opportunity for what you described as lesser players, but, you know, I don't know, maybe I'd describe it maybe as less consistent players, find their way on this table because they just got that little bit of leniency on the table.
Yeah, but I mean, players like Phil and, you know, someone like Mick Hill, for instance. If I were to play both of them and we played first to 10 and we played 10 times, if we played on a club table, you know, fairly slow, tight pockets, those guys would win against me an awful lot more than on these conditions, which is a big leveler, I think. You know, I'd come out probably losing both if we're being, you know, completely honest about it, but I'd probably lose sort of 6-4 or 7-3 against them in these conditions, whereas, you know, if you go and play in their conditions, if you want to call them that, where you have to be very precise with the cue ball and your patterns have to be absolutely spot on, and you can get into a fair few tactical battles, then it's probably going to give them even more of an edge.
I suppose it's an interesting question for you, Chris, that obviously for you, would you rather play them on the kind of green cloths and the old cloths, or would you rather play them in this kind of arena?
Definitely out here, yeah. If I was to play Phil on the Ultimate Pool Tour, for instance, if I obviously, as you know, some of the prelim matches are on the back tables, if you want to call them that. So the tables are actually slightly different, and they play different. And those tables are the tables that, like I said, Phil's been playing on day in, day out for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
They're a little bit slower, they're a little bit less reactive, the pockets are cut differently. The feel of the table is different. But get out into this arena, the pockets do play bigger. The balls are shinier because they're cleaned between every single match rather than just at the start of the day like they are on the back tables. There's lots of factors that make a big difference. It means that the balls will actually slide off the cushion a lot more, so the natural angles that Phil's learnt for the last 30 years will need to be changed when he's playing on this table. And sometimes things like that, it's not easy to adapt straight away to.
I was going to say, do you feel like the kind of growing pains that maybe Phil's felt the first couple of seasons, do you think that is something that in the next couple of years we'll kind of see Phil fully eradicate, or do you think there'll always be a little bit of that still there?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I think Phil is getting a lot more used to it. He's certainly speeding his game up. But the pattern play that he's got is always going to be there, and the cue ball, he's having to reroute here because he didn't get exactly where he wanted to. But the experience he's got down the years.
That's a beautiful shot. Oh, just that little flick,
Yeah.
did him no
But
favours.
again, that shot is a typical example because it slid off the second cushion.
Yeah.
And it's not going to do that if Phil's playing down on a club table.
Yeah, no,
It's going to be plumb.
Couldn't agree more. As it is, I mean, Phil's now got to find something pretty special here, otherwise Liam is going to get his first visit to the table.
Yeah.
And I think Liam's one of those kind of... I'd almost describe him as like a dark horse player, in terms of the fact that he can have quiet tournaments where he doesn't really feature.
Yeah.
But then every so often he just pops up and goes on a really good run, and causes a lot of damage.
And it generally coincides with when his break's working big, doesn't it? Because Liam is, he's in a similar bracket to me, I guess. We're good pros, but we're not in the top echelons of the game. You'd quite easily sit here and ask 100 people's opinion, and we're probably not going to be in the top 20 people of people they can think of that are the greatest players of all time. But when we've got a big break working, it means we're going to get more chances potentially than the other player, and when that happens, anyone's dangerous.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. As it is, this is a good opportunity for Liam now just to really get a foothold in this game. It's so important to get your first one on the board against someone like Phil, just because obviously Phil has just this capability of running away with matches so easily.
Oh yeah, and Phil widely known for being the best doubler in the game. As you saw him attempt that last double, he didn't even get quite close to the jaws, which again I think is a sign of him not quite being used to these tables.
Yeah, and it's just little things like that that Liam's going to have to take full advantage of if he's going to get a result out of this match. But just rattled that a little bit, but absolutely fine.
Yeah, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. I don't think he'd quite reach it. I have the same problem.
You're not that small, Chris. Don't start pulling that card. That's a really nice position shot just to come across for the yellow, and this should just be a case of dotting the I's and crossing the T's for Liam here.
Yep. And going back to the conversation about Phil, I mean, obviously, the positional shot he played, I'm sure he thought he hit it perfectly, and he's obviously just got the nick on the yellow and finished out of position.
Obviously, Chris, you've now had a few years' experience with the Ultimate Pool Tour.
Yeah.
And it's a similar question to what I asked Lewis before. How have you seen your growth with the game alongside the growth with Ultimate Pool? And what are your targets going forward?
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. I've enjoyed what Ultimate Pool have done. And for me, if you're gonna play pool and take yourself seriously as a player, this is where you need to be playing it, and proving it on this sort of stage. It's certainly made me put a lot more effort into my game, because at the start, when I first turned pro, I mean, I had a genuine fear of embarrassment, really. I thought, if I don't start practicing and really putting the hours in now, then I'm not even going to be able to compete. So it has pushed my mentality along, but there could be an argument to say that the more practice I've put in, it might have been to the detriment of my game, because I used to be a really, really natural player, and flow, and now, because of the practice I've put in, I've noticed quite a lot of faults that I had in my technical side of my game. So yeah,
it's really interesting that there's a couple of players that you kind of see that, and I'm going to put you in this category, and obviously you can turn around and go, I'm not part of that, Luke, and I'll go, that's fair enough. But it feels like to me, Chris, that you are such a good player when you're on it. I mean, you don't make a world final unless you've got the talent of a serious pro, and you don't go on the runs that you've had and had pulled off some of the shots that you've pulled off this season without having the standard that you do. And it just feels like at times, because there's so many pros in the mix, and obviously somebody's got to lose in every situation.
yeah.
Just personal note from me, it just feels like you put yourself down a little bit at times.
I do, yeah.
And
yeah. My self-talk has to be a lot better, definitely.
Oh, just trying to hold the white a little bit, and Liam's missed that yellow into the bottom left.
Yeah. One of those shots that you instantly regret, because looking at the cue ball now, if it's another 2 inches to the right, is that really going to make a difference to him potting the 8 ball? Definitely not. So yeah, one of those ones where you sort of, your mind almost plays a trick on you, because you think you've got to hold it a lot more than you have, whereas what you actually need to do in that situation is just pot the ball.
And as it is, I mean, 90% of the time we always say, if you've got the advantage of the balls, you've got the advantage of the table. This isn't necessarily the easiest in the world for Phil, but he has got control of this table now.
Yeah. He's got good choices for a loss of turn shot and to be able to hide the cue ball, I think, if he so chooses. Looking at the 2 reds at the bottom of the table, I don't think either of them go anywhere independently. So I think I'm not sure a snooker would help him in this situation, because obviously he needs the yellow out of the way.
I don't mind the idea of maybe potting this red and then playing the yellow towards the middle long, and then bringing the white over towards the right hand side and getting the snooker behind the red if you choose to. But if not, you've then got that cover. Yeah. Obviously you leave the bottom cushion escape in that situation, but you'd have to play a probably 1 in 10 shot in order to put that ball into the middle pocket or the top pocket. So
from the shot he played, it looked like he was angling to leave himself on this ball that he's closest to in the middle, and be able to sort of go down into the 2 reds and maybe come off the left hand side and split the reds and pot the yellow in one shot. But he might have the angle to get down there now.
Oh, that is some shot from Phil. That is some shot to find the cannon from there. Swinging the white off of, I think it was 3 or 4 cushions, in order to open that ball up. And okay, he's still got the problem with the red that's on that bottom cushion, but he's got balls to land on it with. So this is a golden opportunity now for Phil.
He wants to be just off the straight here, I think.
He's come
a little bit too far again. Can't quite see, because the camera plays tricks on us, how far away from the cushion this bottom red is. I'm not sure if it's skill shotable with the yellow. Depends how far in the yellow is, really.
But I mean, by the looks of it, it looks like it's about a ball's width off of the cushion, which
doesn't leave you much room.
Yeah. Don't think he's straight enough to screw him behind it, so now he is in trouble.
Yeah, you wouldn't say that's helped.
And it's one of those that, once again, I feel it, as you mentioned earlier, maybe Phil's not fully used to the pace of the table, and it's just that shot towards the middle pocket just over around the white, and all of a sudden he's ended up here.
Yeah, well, the trouble with the shot he played, the screwing on and off the cushion, is instantly there's a lot of grip, which will screw the cue ball into the cushion probably sooner than you think. But then when it hits the cushion, it will then slide off of it. So judging the angle is, really, really hard. But it looks like he is playing the skill shot.
Tough shot this.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very tough. Liam has the opportunity to take the lead for the first time in this game. He's got the 8 ball into the right middle. It's one of those that you just pot the ball.
Yep. Not worried about the cue ball.
Yeah, he's missed it. It did look a little high when he first played it. And I don't know about you, Chris. I just felt like he played it a little quick.
Yeah, potentially a little quick and maybe a little more firm than he needed to, because when you're playing those ones in the middle, good old pros trick is aim far draw.
I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. I mean, I watched every weekend of the Players' Championship. I loved that event, and that's why I tried to qualify for the Amateur Championships, and Conor Treacy done me in the decider, which was annoying. But, I mean, when I watched those weekends, that weekend in particular was my favourite one to watch, and it's because it had so many ebbs and flows in it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I mean, the highlight reels that you guys were producing that weekend was a joke. I mean, that red that you potted, I mean, it still sticks in my head to today. I actually put a video of myself on TikTok. I don't know if you're on it at all,
right?
But I managed to recreate the shot. It took me about 20 tries in order to do it. It was an absolute joke of a shot. And
extension called? No, it was good. But I mean, the point is, if I lose my first 2 matches here at Pro Series weekend, then I've gone out in a prelim twice, haven't I? And with the Players' Championship, I end up making it to the group final doing the same thing.
It allows players to warm into a tournament, and I think the tournaments like that are really going to showcase a lot of the time the best of the best as well. And once again, it's down to that thing of, like, it's very easy in one match to kind of put yourself down a little bit, but actually, like, when you've got a bit of a run and you've got loads of different games going on, even if you win or lose a few of them, you can find your form.
Correct, yeah. Yep.
As it is, Phil's back at the table again.
But I mean, a good example of that is, I think Luke Gilbert, who obviously won the group, needed a 6 red shootout to get in the top 4 of the first group, didn't he?
Yeah.
Otherwise he was going home then. So it just goes to show you. I think he won his first couple of matches as well.
There was so many examples of that. I mean, the Hitton Patel one. I mean, Hitton barely got out of the groups in the first stage, and then obviously dispatched Sean, and poor old Sean was on the journey home after.
Sean won every single match in the group stage and then lost. Yep.
Once again, just a little example of Phil maybe starting to run out of time a little bit. No problem at all. But
the thing about that again is, if you convert those results to put them on a Pro Series weekend, then the Hitman has lost in 2 prelims and Sean's got to a final, hasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, that's ridiculous. I've never thought about it like that.
Because of the way the matches went, he's won 5 in a row, hasn't he? So that's pretty much getting to the final of a Pro Series weekend, whereas the Hitman's gone out in the prelim twice. But he's come through in the Players' Championship, and Sean's not even made it to the final.
A little bit of a shake of the head there from Phil. I think he wanted that cue ball just to stop a little bit further, like a little bit earlier, but just rolls on, and now he's looking to see if this yellow just slips past the other into the bottom left.
Yeah, I think it does.
Such a perfectionist is Phil that you can see how much it irritates him if he's just an inch out of position.
Yeah. How are you on the side of practice, not practice? How often you want to practice? What sort of practice you do? Do you go into it that much? You seem like a man who analyses a lot.
I definitely am. To be honest with you, yeah, I feel like if me and you ever practiced in a room, I'd be scared that I wouldn't get out the room until the next day, kind of thing. But my I mean, my premise has always been, I mean, I'm not from an area that's well known for pool, I suppose, being in West Sussex, and yeah, playing on the old green speed cloths and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of graft in order to become good on grey cloths and blue cloths and whatever other event you're going to.
Yeah, practicing with different people each night, putting practice in for those practice sessions. So, you know, playing an awful lot and couldn't be in any better touch, and still losing 2 prelims without really doing too much wrong.
It's so easy though, because once again everybody else is putting in prep for these tournaments,
Exactly.
and it's one of those that it's just dependent on the day.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing I'm a true believer of is over time that hard work will always show, and you can see it in some of the younger players that have gone onto the pro circuit this year, especially when I think of someone like Cole Bedford, who, to be fair, has definitely travelled the length and breadth of the entire country in order to practice in some of his events. I mean, he's turned up in Leicester a few times just on a random day from Wales, and
Yeah.
you know, it's crazy commitment, but you start to see the results getting there. And if you can mix that with a good head and good balance, then over time you find, I suppose, what you're looking for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm one of those that's always just wanted a career in pool, whether it's playing, commentating. I said if I've got to do the lighting fixtures, I'll end up going up and doing them, that kind of thing. But, you know, slowly but surely over the last year or so, I've seen progression that I'm happy with. And even on the Challenger, I've had a few good results. You know, a couple of buys have definitely helped me out at times as well.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
you know, it's how it works out.
Well,
And
that's good. As long as you're moving forwards, that's all you can really ask for.
Yeah.
Results don't particularly matter. I mean, for me, obviously, I know it is a results sort of sport in that sense, but
You just want to play well.
yeah, you know, if I lose 7-4, but I've had 4 opportunities and I've taken each and every one of them, I would sort of rather that than I've won 7-6 and had 4 or 5 opportunities every frame.
Because you always feel, don't you, that if you win a bad game, you're always thinking, God, I need to be better for the next one.
Yeah, I mean,
and that almost builds up an extra bit of mental pressure that really can stress you out.
yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, I say I'd rather lose and play well than win and play bad, but I can now differentiate. I used to, you know, if I used to lose a game or win a game by playing bad, I used to think to myself, well, that was pointless because I can't win the tournament playing this bad. But now I am very much of the opinion that from one game to the next you can find it, and you know, you can win playing bad and win the next one playing great, and then go on a flyer and so on. But you know, I would consistently rather play well than play bad and win.
I mean, I can imagine, Chris, that when you went on your run to the World Final, when you played Ronan, there would have been a couple of games, I imagine, where things maybe got a little bit sketchy as well in that period, because I mean there were so many games to play in order to get to that final, which is why I've got so much respect at the fact that to anyone that gets to that point.
Yeah, I mean, only one to be perfectly honest, which was the last 64 against Sean Sharkey, which I think I won at 8-6. But as we were getting to the business end of that, it got a bit nervy between the pair of us because it had been sort of a really good game up until the point of about 6-all, I think.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he missed a ball, I think, and then sort of I missed, and then we both missed 3 or 4 in that frame, and then the next frame was a similar one to that. So
it can really throw you out of your rhythm when both of you are playing well, in terms of the fact that you can just go on dish, and you're all focused, and then when somebody misses a ball, it's almost like a shock to the system.
Yeah. Yep. But I mean, other than that, pretty much every match I played up until the final, I was comfortable for one reason or another. I was playing well, the balls were coming out nice, you know, the patterns, I was seeing the patterns, I was hitting the ball well, so yeah, everything was just really, really comfortable. But yeah, just what was it, 8 dry breaks in the final, I think. Other than that, it was great.
The thing is, it's one of those that you must look up back at and be like really happy with and go, oh, I was in a world final. But at the same time, it's one of those that you always want that one more, don't you?
Yeah.
And it's an interesting question, I suppose I'd ask you, Chris, is would you rather, if you turn around next year and I offered you could either be back in the world final again,
Yeah.
And you get one more shot at it, but if you win, you win, and if you lose, you lose.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can just take the trophy for the next Pro Series next season, no questions asked.
Yeah.
Which one are you taking?
The world final.
The world final.
Yeah, without a doubt. I know it won't make much sense to anyone out there, because you get a lot more money for winning the Pro Series. There's a lot more prestige to winning a Pro Series probably now.
But it's what you grow up wanting.
But yeah, I grew up wanting to be the world champion, and I still do.
Yeah, it hurts when you get to a big final and don't quite showcase what you can do. But
yeah,
the thing is that nowadays, I think more than ever, and I mean, luckily for us as well, we got to witness the run that you guys went on, and that we can appreciate what you guys have done for the sport as a whole now as well, which is something that I think Ultimate Pool has done so well. Because I'm going to be honest, before I joined Ultimate Pool, I was black ball background, so I didn't see much of the world rules side of things.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I couldn't have told you who Phil Harrison was. If you told me he was the farmer, I would have thought he was probably Dave Gilbert's cousin.
Yeah.
But as it is, we learn so much about all of you guys, and we learn about the accolades that you guys have achieved. So when we watch you guys play, we've now got this next level of absolute respect, where no matter what happens, if you guys have a bad day, we can turn around and go, he's a great player, he's just had a bad day. Whereas beforehand, somebody probably would have watched along and gone, what's this guy doing here?
Yeah, exactly. And that takes a bit of getting used to as well, because you are a pro, there are going to be people watching, and if you are having a bad day, sometimes you do think to yourself, I wonder what these people are thinking. But yeah, it's just the way the world is.
As it is. Liam had an opportunity in the last frame just to close the gap to 3-2, didn't quite take it, and finds himself 4-1 behind, but Phil's just missed the ball there, so just gives Liam a little bit of an edge back into this game. Huge difference now between 5-1 and 4-2.
Oh, definitely. And if he can pot this ball in the middle and take the red out at the top left at the same time,
it's a great effort. He just hasn't quite done it. That's really unlucky as well, because he made good contact with it too.
Yeah, that's harsh. Because any loss of turn shot up there, or potting the red and then laying a snooker would make Liam big favourite for the frame, you feel. But with that red still there,
I wonder if he's got a shot here, Chris. It's maybe a little bit high tower if he hasn't looked at it. But I was just thinking of maybe planting yellow onto yellow down the rail. I mean, with the other ball, he's actually had a good result there. But
not a bad outcome.
I was thinking of planting the other one onto the other one and just covering the pocket, doing it that way. But similar result. And Phil now is having to chase this a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the of exactly what Liam was playing there. He might have just been sort of playing into an area and trying to, find a result as he has. But yeah, covering the pocket in these rules, as you probably know now, is quite a disadvantage generally most of the time. But putting another player's ball safe, as he has there with that red that he nudged, that is generally the way to go tactically in these rules, without a doubt.
Phil played a really good shot there on the clock, just sprinting around the table to be able to pot that off of the cushion and off the yellow, but unfortunately he hasn't opened up either balls really in a favourable way.
No, I mean he's got the cut along the bottom, which will go in off the yellow where the 8 ball is, but unfortunately still no way of getting this ball out. So
could he maybe play this red and just hammer into the one on the right hand side, similar to that? Kind of played it with an element of safety that it's partially worked.
Yeah, if the red doesn't go, then
I don't
Liam's
think
got a slight advantage here.
I don't think it passes into this bottom right, so and Liam's gonna.
Yeah, that's not bad from Liam, because if this red at the bottom of the table doesn't go, and even if it does, it's still going to be hard to pot it and get on the 8 ball. But if it doesn't go, then Liam's just got the sort of the one tricky ball now, top left of the table.
Yeah.
So
For Liam,
Phil's in a bit of a spot here.
yeah, this is all just about patience for Liam, isn't it? Really, just he's kind of got Phil where he wants him in this frame. Phil may be forced into taking this red over the pocket. That was some effort to try and banana the white, but as I
Put
say,
another yellow safe.
yeah. To be fair, if you're going to keep yourself a foothold in this frame, having a result like that isn't going to do you any wrong.
Yeah, he won't be hugely disappointed there. He
No.
might even be able to double kiss this yellow in if he hits the red full ball.
Let's see, can he pull it off? Oh, he can
Did
pot it.
go. Has he found the gap? Oh, he has.
That's great weight.
Not ideal. Not ideal by any stretch of the imagination, but he's got a shot.
Is he looking? I think he's looking at stunning this with a bunch of right hand side and just swinging this white round.
Yep, anywhere near this bottom left hand corner to leave himself a double.
This would be some shot if he pulls it off.
To be fair, I think there's an argument here. Yeah, I was going to
Just
say.
sold.
I think there's an argument here to just leave yourself a skill shot. Because although the yellow is a fair way away from the pocket, you can play it in such a way that if you get the 8 ball, tracking and right over the pocket, Liam's yellows aren't a gimme where they are. So if he can play this as a skill shot but get a good cue ball as well, he's going to be asking a big question of Liam with the 8 ball over the bag.
See, can he get close? It's just a tough shot again. Oh, I think he looked at.
He did try the double.
Yeah, opportunities table turn now to Liam White.
Can he play this yellow off the yellow into the middle first shot just to open it up?
Yeah, just decided to play across for these two. I wonder if he backs himself, maybe landed behind that yellow down the rail to play a plant.
Yeah, potentially. It just looks like the yellow nearest the bag is a little bit further out off the rail than the other yellow, which makes it a bit tricky to judge.
Yeah, he's not ideal here either, just being close to this cushion. Just meant that he was a little bit further away from his work than maybe he wanted to be.
Yep.
Yeah, this is an important shot now in this frame. But can focus solely on the plant. Very good. So it's all going to be about that final positional shot for the final yellow.
Yeah, decision to make. Do you play on it in the middle, play on it in the corner? Double even?
Oh, he's very straight here.
Yeah, I think he can make enough angle to sort of get wherever he wants to. He's just decide where he's going to take that yellow.
Just going to screw up and down. Needs the white to bounce. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Once again, important pot here for Liam White. Very good. It's going to be this 8 ball just to give Liam White just that foothold back in this match. Yeah, very good from Liam. Probably time remaining is probably going to be about 13, 12 minutes, something like that. And
Great hit.
yes, great break again from Liam.
And a great split again. The red balls look lovely.
And
They all
also,
connect really well. 2 at the top, the 2 in the middle, the 3 at the bottom.
and
They're out.
I was going to say this frame was going to take about 5 minutes. It may take about 1. I
Yeah.
like the way things are panned out, but great
Yeah, well,
opportunity.
they all just connect beautifully, don't they? The plant, the 2 in the middle of the table, the 3 down the bottom.
Oh, that's a poor one from Liam though. It's a really poor one. Needed to hit that red full ball and he's almost hit it half ball.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why he's hit it at that pace and brought the cue ball out. I can only think he was playing a skill shot.
The only positive is I think he can still land on it. Yeah, he can play for this up now.
Yeah, but well, I suppose he doesn't have to do too much with the white because he can land on this one at the bottom right. But it's one of those situations where if he does play this one in the middle and he can hold it on the yellow potentially. And he's going corner.
I think he's still playing up for that same ball, but he's just using the 2 cushions instead.
Yeah, needs a flick. Got one.
Oh, wow. But it's still not easy. The other problem he's now got is he's cutting this red back. Where's this yellow going?
Yeah, I mean, he can play this with a little bit of left-hand side, so the cue ball does come through to the cushion. And back out. But yeah.
He's nowhere.
Oh, is he in the gap? He might be in the gap.
I don't tell me he's found the gap. From the overhead, it didn't look like he had, but
I think he's found the gap.
that's a huge result if
Pop
he
this
has.
one in. Land on the one on the bottom rail. Make sure you leave yourself an angle. Don't leave yourself straight.
Don't leave yourself straight, Chris.
Don't leave yourself straight. You might have to top through for the red in the top right now, potentially.
If he's got any level of angle at all, can he do anything with this? Oh, he's done really well to punch that out. Did really well to punch that out. Definitely didn't have that much angle, but very, very good. And
Job done, is what you'd say about that clearance in the end.
taking the scenic route. But if he was to take it out, it would be another huge scalp at a really important time in the tournament. And it just feels like it would give him enough emphasis to go on and win something.
Yeah, potentially. But the trouble, I think, someone like Liam has got, again putting him in a similar sort of bracket to myself, is,
Oh, wow.
is basically that Phil is standing that side of the table and he's got the knowledge that he's won big tournaments before. You know, professional tournaments. He knows he can do it because he's done it. Whereas Liam and myself believe we can do it, but we haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
And until you do, I mean, it happens so many times. You see someone win a tournament and then all of a sudden, in the next year or so, they win another 2 or 3 because they've then got the belief to compound the confidence they had.
Well, I mean, we it's one thing that I talk about that it's so easy to forget is that, I mean, Ultimate Pool's only really been around for 3 years.
Yep.
But there've been eras.
Yep.
You know, you kind of had your Declan Brennans in that first season. Shane Thompson had his era. You had Sean Story had a season where he was just constantly making finals and semi-finals and winning events. And then this year you've kind of had Tom Cousins, Craig Waddingham. You've had
Mick in the middle.
Mick in the middle.
Yep.
You know, Gaz Potts won one and then obviously won his pairs in a similar time as well. And it's, you know, scary question to ask you, Chris, but who's next?
Well, I mean, you didn't mention Dempsey in there, I don't think.
Yeah, I did mention Dempsey.
Oh, you did? Okay, that's fine, yeah.
If I didn't mention Dempsey and I've just gone out and done Last Man Stand in Belfast, I can tell you that I would not be anywhere in Blackpool by the end of tonight.
Indeed. No, yeah, it's a good question because I mean, you know, you wouldn't be surprised if someone like Phil won 2 or 3 Pro Series next year, would you?
No.
There are a lot of people out there that can do it. You know, Jordan Shepherd, for instance, Jack Whelan. They've both won titles on Ultimate Pool before, and again, if they won multiple titles in a season, you wouldn't be surprised. And given that next year, as professionals, we've got pretty much a tournament every single month going forward, there's more opportunity to win more, isn't there?
Yeah, Jordan Shepherd's a really interesting character because of the fact that, I mean, he's done so much in the last couple of seasons. I mean, he's been out to China, he was doing Q School, he's been in just about every form of Q School possible. But obviously if Liam causes the upset here, you've got a 3 out of 4 chance of a first time winner.
So is Tom already through, or is he playing someone at the moment?
He is 5-2 ahead of Ryan Marcus as things stands. Right. I mean, Ryan's played so well this weekend that Ryan could definitely come back from that deficit. But I mean, Tom's just a serial winner. You just can never write him off.
Yeah, and the trouble is with Tom, when he gets anywhere near the finish line, and there's frames in hand to be played, unfortunately, you know he's going to get a chance to win off of his breaks, don't you?
It's horrible because, I mean, there have been a few people that I've kind of spoken to that have played Tom this year, and they go, when you're 4-0 down, or you're 4-1 down, or 5-1, or 6-2, or whatever, they said, if you win a frame from that point, it's consolation. It's like scoring 90 plus 7 after being 6-0 down at Charlton Athletic.
Yeah.
And such is the way that, anybody can come back from anywhere. I mean, for the season that Dempsey's had, I mean, I don't think anybody expected Neil Raybone to pull off the comeback he did last time against him. And the last Pro Series, he was it 5-1 down or 6-2 down?
Yep.
Huge comeback there, and anything is possible in this sport, and that's why I love it and hate it at the same time. Because sometimes you're on the right side of it, and sometimes you're on the wrong side of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why it's such a tough sport to play, really, because your general outlook, you're going to get massive ups and downs, but if you can keep your general overall outlook fairly good and positive, then yeah, you're doing really well, I think, regardless of your results.
Yeah, Phil just slowly working through this clearance here, just a bit more work to do, but got himself back into a decent position here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the ball he's closest to now in the bottom left. Just cannon into the yellow. And it'll be middle, top left corner in the 8.
Yeah, it's an important frame this as well, because he wants to stop that Liam White momentum from kicking into any further gear. It's one thing obviously levelling the scores, but it's another thing going ahead.
Yeah.
And we just enter that 15-second shot clock with the next shot, so...
Yeah, well, the hard work in this finish is done for Phil, but it will be Phil's break in the next frame.
Oh, you say that.
Ooh.
Was that a bit of commentator's curse? But
and he's only got 15 seconds to shake his head, and he's used his extension. So Phil is bang in trouble.
Yeah, he's just going to get down. I think he's going to have to play the plant, yeah.
Yeah.
Mind you, he's not played it badly. It's an easy game, isn't it, Chris?
It is, yeah. But from Liam's point of view, that's the shot clock has saved him from at least 2 or 3 minutes of Phil shaking his head.
That is the Phil Harrison textbook if ever I've seen it. Shake your head for 5 seconds, give yourself 5 seconds to go. Oh, and then he's missed the red in the corner.
Well, we did say, folks, the 15 seconds might catch him out. And unfortunately, you have to say, even though he made the mistake, he got the plant, and if he had more time, you probably think he would have got that as well.
I think the weird thing was, Chris, I think he was still shaking his head from the 2 shots before when he was down on there. And
yeah. But some players need it. Some players, if they play a poor shot, some players need to get it out of their system with a reaction. Some players think it's better not to react. You can argue to the heels of what you think is best to do, but generally, some players get frustrated when things go wrong, and they need to vent that frustration to be able to move on from it.
It's a great hit, but it's not really done him any favours. Liam's got his opportunity now, and this is now a huge opportunity, especially as Phil's had an opportunity in the frame.
Yep. He can stun down onto what is technically his hardest ball, which will connect up with what would be his second hardest ball underneath the 8 ball. And then the 3 easy ones at the top and the middle of the table, and the work is done.
Yeah, that was very nicely cued as well. And it just feels like, Chris, if he pots this ball and gets into this area, this should be frame over. But then again, we said that with the earlier one.
We did, yeah. Yeah, I think he'll be playing for basically the sort of the middle of the triangle here, really. So he's on all of the balls, and then just have a little look and check what angle you've got and which way you want to go.
Yeah, he's on nicely here just to take this one into the top right first, it feels, but he's disagreed with me. That's great commentating from me. Sometimes, Chris, you feel like you've got the hang of this job, and then other times you just look at it and you think, well...
I think the only reason he's gone that way is basically because when he drops this one in, he's only got to drop the yellow in, and he's on the natural angle of the 8 ball.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the cue ball.
And that is why you're the pro. I'm just a host commentator, guys. I don't play this sport. I'm a round one merchant, me.
In all fairness, you still get them 100 out of 100 going the other way, don't you? But
yeah. And it's going to be this 8-ball to see Liam White go ahead. He's 5-4 ahead, and yeah, even though the score hasn't quite updated yet, guys. Oh, there we go. It is 5-4 to Liam White. That's Phil made ball.
excellent hit.
But he's gone dry. How has that one gone dry?
But it's not left the most appealing of layouts.
Yeah, I was looking at that. Does Liam have an opener? Yeah, I don't think this red passes, so I don't really see Liam's opening ball.
Well, it might skim off the cushion in the other red potentially.
Oh, it just about does.
But the big problem ball, you can see it by the 2 yellows and the 8-ball. I'm not sure if he can squeeze the red between the 2 yellows to hit the yellow by the 8-ball.
He tried to play the cannon there with the insurance that he had the red over the bottom left.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if he could hit the red onto the yellow by the 8-ball and put it in the middle off that yellow.
I think he's just flicked that yellow enough that he's made the red potable, but you've just got to be right behind it. Or it goes into this.
Going into it again, yep.
That's a great shot. Oh, but then the yellow's got in front of the red towards the right middle.
Putting out fires and creating more.
The thing I was about to say before he played that shot is I didn't realise that that red actually went into the left middle, and I thought he was maybe going to play to land on it initially, but obviously that would have been a very tricky shot to judge. So I do see his argument for playing straight into it. But once again, Chris, he's one positional shot away here.
Yeah, and I think you've got to play high here. Yeah, he played low.
He's going to use this yellow, I think. I mean, once again, it's a scary question of where does the yellow go after you pot it, but after you pot the red. But
I think the yellow goes straight in the middle, so he should be fine with that.
Very nicely played. Really well controlled as well. That was tougher than it looked. And Liam's done a really good job of taking this out.
Yeah. And he needs to be thinking about the clock here as well. If he's not, I'd like to see him get down on the beeps for this one.
Just over 4 minutes on the clock. And obviously this is a very different format, Chris, because we haven't got the golden break and golden duck in play in this event. Yeah. So a 2-frame advance. Oh, Liam!
Oh. And have you ever seen Phil get out of a chair quicker than that?
Where did that miss come from? He had his arm over that yellow, wasn't it? That was on the top cushion.
Yeah, it's a bit twitchy.
That was a huge twitch shot from Phil, but he's made the yellow. And that's just flipped this game on its head. And Liam will be absolutely kicking himself.
Yeah, but again, Phil's got an extension. He's just used it. And what I would say here is use as much as the match clock as you can, I think, if you're Phil, because there's probably going to be time for one more frame, but it's Liam's break. And we know Liam's got a massive break on him. So, you know, if I'm Phil, although you do want to put all your focus into making sure you get these balls, I think I'm probably trying to eat up as much of the clock as I can and hoping for a bad split or a dry break, obviously.
Well, that's not the best shot from Phil, though. He's just run that cue ball a little bit too far.
Yeah. I think he'll back himself to pot it, but if he doesn't want to, he can lay the snooker.
Yeah, he's going to go for it. Yeah, very nicely played.
Nice cannon.
Yeah, he's just about okay here, isn't he?
Yeah. There'll be just under 2 minutes left on the clock by the time Phil's finished, I think.
Yeah. You can really tell what he's feeling out there. He's not hiding it, ladies and gents.
Yeah.
Yeah, what were you moaning for, Phil? Anyway, he's potted that 8-ball. Huge break.
Oh, the pool god's going to give him another opportunity.
Oh, he's gone dry.
Mm.
Oh, that's disaster.
Disaster, but you have to say, not a surprise, because you normally get
No.
punished for missing a ball in more ways than one, don't you?
I mean, I've just watched that break and I feel bad. I mean, that red towards the middle pocket, how's that not gone in? I mean, he had all the reds going towards it that looked like they were going to cannon into it. It didn't quite happen.
Yeah.
But Phil's used about 30 seconds there on the first shot, which, I mean...
Yeah, I'm not sure this yellow at the bottom of the table goes.
Yeah, that's the one that's it's striking me as the issue ball here.
So, I'm not sure 100% here. Phil hasn't settled for a 6 red.
It looks like he's really using the bleeps. Yeah, he's looking at the clock. Yeah, something tells me he's trying to leave just a couple of seconds left to take that last yellow, so that all of the pressure's away from him when it comes to it.
Is he gonna, I'm trying to work out if and where he can leave an angle to potentially go into it.
Yeah, he didn't want to be on the cushion for this either, so jacking up the cue here. Nicely played.
So it's
Now he's picked up the pace.
Yeah. So
Now
drop this one in, leave yourself a half ball angle.
And if
There you
Liam...
go. And stun off the side cushion. You want to be aiming, stunning probably just below the centre pocket and letting the slide go into the yellow. Oh, it goes. It must go.
He is absolutely perfect if that goes as well. Yeah, it looks like he's getting down quickly to this. And with about 10 seconds left on the clock, he's going to have this 8 ball.
It didn't look like
This
it
is
went.
some steal from Phil Harrison. Liam White is going to be absolutely gutted. And Phil gets himself over the line. You can see how much it means to him as well. I mean, what a game, Chris. I mean,
Yeah.
you've really got to feel for Liam White, but Phil Harrison's done what he needed to do.